Table, where each week we will discuss social issues that are also developmentally relevant. Today I want to talk about finding wholeness after abuse. Some months ago, a young woman by the name of J.C. Duger, who was kidnapped over 18 years ago and held captive by her kidnapper since she was 11 years old, was returned safely to her family. While the world celebrates her safe return, the question does remain: how will her abuse impact her over the long term? And not just her, but the two precious girls that she gave birth to during her time of captivity. Today at the table with me is Dr. Rhonda Wells-Wilbon. She's a licensed clinical social worker, and she's also an associate professor at Morgan State University's School of Social Work. Hi, Dr. Wells-Wilbon, and welcome to At the Table.
Thanks for having me.
It's a joy to have you for a couple of reasons. One is you were my former professor, and you made such an impact on my life. It has certainly helped me to be a great human service professional. And then secondly, the topic we're talking about, sexual abuse, I know is something that you're really, really passionate about, so it's good to have you here.
Well, I'm so excited about the work that you're doing, and I'm excited about being able to come and talk about this topic.
Great. So, the topic, finding wholeness on the other side of abuse. Before we even get into that, I know you are a professor at Morgan, but you also are a therapy consultant at the DC Crisis Rape Center. What exactly do you do there?
At the DC Rape Crisis Center, we provide therapeutic services to adult survivors of child sexual abuse, as well as any other kind of sexual assault, rape. We work with the adult survivors. We provide therapy, groups, and all kinds of various services to individuals.
Okay, what made you kind of focus on sexual assault versus any other type of assault?
Well, I started my career in the area of domestic violence, and in doing that work, I saw that there was a lot of sexual abuse that was, also going on. And as a survivor of child sexual abuse myself, I was just drawn to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just been drawn.
Do you feel like abuse is abuse, or would you say that sexual abuse is kind of in a vacuum by itself? It's a different kind of abuse than the other kind of abuses.
I definitely think that being traumatized in any way leaves lifelong, wounds for people. But I do think that there is something very unique about sexual abuse, because in a normal situation we're introduced to sex in a very loving and holistic kind of way.
True.
But when you're violated sexually, it creates a lot of mixed emotions and feelings for the person that's being violated. Mm-hmm. And I do think that requires, a different kind of healing.
And one of the things I know from my own personal experience, from reading the research, from even watching Tyler Perry and those 300 Men on Oprah last year, is that people who have been sexually abused tend to feel in some way like it's their fault, like they did something to somehow warrant this violation. What is that about, in your opinion?
Well, I think that because of the emotional connection to it, it's such an intimate kind of experience. I do think that particularly if it was a child, that they feel like they did play some sort of role in it. Maybe they did something that may have invited the person or what have you. But what I say in those situations is, it doesn't matter what you may have done. If someone assaults you, that's still assault. And if you may have enjoyed some part of it, or even had some feelings of attraction to someone, that still does not warrant you being, violated.
Right, because no is no and off is off.
And for children, it's always off.
It's always off.
That's right.
Absolutely.
It's always off.
So one of the questions I have is, Is it the same for men and women when we talk about the impact and the effect that it has on the survivor of sexual abuse? Is it the same for men and women, or is it different?
Well, I think that it's all different, and I think even among women, they have different experiences throughout life, and for men. And so when you talk about the genders in terms of comparing them, I think that each person's individual experience is their own experience. And so I would say that more than there being a gender difference, that each person's individual experience is just so different, because what happened to them is probably so different, and then their own healing process then becomes very different as well.
I was so surprised when I read the research to know that it said that there are 10 to 20% of men who will be abused in their lifetime, and then 40% of women who would be abused in their lifetime. And it's like double that. So that means it's double that of women. And while it is double that of women, I was also like, I don't think men talk about it. I don't think that when we talk about the shame of it all, I don't think men really recognize how much of a shame stereotype, if you will, is associated with it. So do you work with men also?
I do work with men. I have male clients. What I have found I haven't found their experiences necessarily to be any different in terms of how it manifests itself throughout their lives. One of the things that I am beginning to see is, as people are getting older and they haven't really talked about this, as they age, they really feel a need to bring closure. And so sometimes people think, well, they live with that for 60 years, but it's like, but now when you're 60, you want to feel like, your life is completed, and in a very positive kind of way. And so that's why we see, I think, people trying to bring closure at later stages in their life, because a lot of those people, they've gone through, all other kinds of dysfunctional issues in their lives, largely connected to their sexual abuse.
Well, it's so interesting. I have so many questions. I mean, just so many that we will not have time to answer in this particular setting. But I will say this. I know we're going to have to do a part 2. And as we wrap up, I want to get your information, contact information, that anybody can get in touch with you who's watching us today and want to get some help. Could you share that?
Sure. I am a licensed clinical social worker in the District of Columbia. I do provide therapeutic services, and I do work specifically with this population. And I can be reached at rwilbon@gmail.com.
Okay, so rwilbon@gmail.com. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, I need you to be inspired. I need you to be encouraged. I need you to know that you are amazing, that you are beautiful, and you are not your violation. I know that it was painful. I know that it has left scars. But you know what? Just like so many other survivors, you can continue to live an amazing and abundant life. Please know that. Please remember that. Take your head out of the pillow. You have nothing to be ashamed of. Be strong. Find the support network that you need, and be encouraged. Please know that greatness is your birthright. Therefore, you need no one's permission or approval to be great.